Hey!
This is JJ and Alex.
I made a name for myself, I told you I won't be denied.
As you wrap up your day, it's time to get your fix of the teams you live for and the sports you love. This is JJ and Alex on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
What's going on, everybody? Happy Monday to you. Thanks for being with us right here, 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone. Alex, Kirry, and Jeremiah Jensen. We're back for another 3 to 7 march through the world of sports here.
We're back.
Nobody has it as cool as we do for our jobs right now.
Goodness. Well, you listening right now. And I was just talking to the Culligan guys out in the foyer.
Get to talk to the Water Boys later today, yes.
It's awesome because they're as giddy as all of you listening right now about what's going on in this market when it comes to sports. You have 2 college football teams that are in the top 13 of the college football playoff rankings.
Going to be in
November.
Going to likely be in the top 12 tomorrow.
You have a Utah Jazz team that just won a double overtime thriller with Keontae George hitting a game-winning shot, which should get you should be over the moon if you're a Jazz fan about what you have on that roster.
They're a third of the way to what their wins were last year, basically.
And now the Mammoth have been disappointing lately, but it's early in the season.
Yes.
We've seen them at their best, and I think there's hope and a belief that they're going to get back to being at their best. So you have the NBA, you have the NHL. You have Utah and BYU doing what they're doing in the college football playoffs scenarios and the season. Just thumping teams. What we saw from those teams this weekend was just so much fun, right?
Yes.
And you've got the NFL, which is incredible. It's just such a great time right now if you're a sports fan with everything going on. And we get to talk about it. You're right.
Alex Napolis, our producer, we were talking about, we go, look, I think we forget year on year how different this year is. Like to be able to have the level of success that these teams are having at the highest level that they've been at in the same conference together, a power conference together at the same time. It's a good place to be, man. How was your weekend, JJ? This is when we get to jam for the first time after a few days of not being. Well, I say a few days because we typically part ways on Friday, and then we jam on Mondays, and we do our thing on the weekend. You got to do your TV thing. I got to go do my college football thing. And then guess what? We come back and we sort of jam on stuff. But I haven't talked to you since last Wednesday, man, because
it's been a minute.
We had all those high school football games. Was the Pula interception in the moment that it happened? Was that as big? Like, it's one thing to say that's amazing. I've never seen something like that happen. That's a crazy catch. That's great. When you saw it happen, though, could you have imagined it was going to be the ESPN, the SportsCenter top play of the day? They had him on that night on TV. I told Alex Napolis when we first saw it, I go, that was an NFL. That's a world-class catch. That's not something that you go, well, that's fun for a high school kid.
No.
That would have been amazing at every level that you even imagined. So
100%.
When you saw it happen and you guys were able to react to it, and which was a lot of like mouth open.
Yeah.
A lot of like not talking in the exact moment because it was so unbelievable, but you got to call that thing and witnesses as it happened. Your thoughts on that interception compared to, because the rest of the weekend seemed to get kind of swallowed up by that from a national perspective, certainly.
Which was very cool and good for Ken and Pula, good for Utah high school football. There's such great talent here. And obviously him and his brother Jaron are some of that talent. When I saw it initially, I'm up above the bowl, like what is it, like the third level. And we're calling the game from the top of the bowl. And so that's the distance that I'm seeing it from.
So you're thinking maybe it doesn't get caught.
Well, so I knew it was caught. The throw happens. By the way, it was an incredible throw.
It was a great throw.
If that sensational play is not made, if it's just an average safety coming over and trying to get there, probably doesn't get there in time, probably isn't able to leap that high and to make that kind of a play, that ball would have dropped right in the bucket with that receiver. Skyridge scores an 80-yard touchdown. We're having a different conversation about that game.
Yeah.
And a different team is in a state championship game next Thursday. That's why that play was so important. But in the moment, the throw is made, and it's a big, long throw. It's a deep ball. It's as deep as it gets. And all of a sudden, you see Kennan come over and leap up there, and you see one arm go up, come back in, land, and then I realize he has the ball. And that all happened in a split second.
Yeah.
So we're all watching. If you're watching it on SportsCenter, if you saw the video we supplied them with, we're slowing it down. And when you slow it down, it's like, oh my gosh. Imagine seeing it in real time. It happened like that.
Yes.
Is his athleticism to be able to leap up there, snag it with one hand, and pull it in.
To roll with it. Yeah.
And to roll and never bobbled it. It was insane. So when I first see it, Alex, I am in shock because I'm processing in my brain what I just saw. And I realize it's an interception. So on the call, we have the audio we'll play later is later on. It's us reacting to the replay. The actual call, you hear it, I go, interception. And in my brain, I'm trying to figure out how.
Right.
And in that moment, it was just such a great athletic achievement. You had to process it for a minute. And then you want to go look at it again to see what he actually did. And then you slow it down, you see what he actually did, and it's even more phenomenal. So
crazy. To
have that happen here in this state, on top of everything I just mentioned, we called 6 games in 2 days. It's so much fun. And I hated not being here on the air doing radio with you. But it's that one time a year where we get to go do that.
Yeah.
And it's so great to celebrate high school football in this state, and it's elite. There's really, really good high school football coaches, players, and programs in the state.
Thursday, you and Sly will be back at it again up at Rice Eccles Stadium.
Yep.
So
11 a.m., 2:30 p.m., and 6. The 4A state championship game is the 11 a.m. game that will feature Ridgeline versus Green Canyon, 2 Cache Valley schools. Ridgeline's undefeated, and they might beat – they would give Orem a great game in the 5A state championship game. Let me say that. The 5A state championship game will be at 6 o'clock. That'll be Orem versus Springville, 2 region rivals from Utah County, so an all-Utah County final. And then the 2:30 p.m. 6A championship game will be a rematch between Corner Canyon and Lone Peak. Corner Canyon is a machine. They were unbelievable. They put up 600 yards of total offense on one of the best defenses in the state.
59 points in the semifinal game.
Insane.
Not bad.
Corner Canyon dynasty is still rolling, but the one team that beat them this year was Lone Peak.
Yeah, but
now I don't know if Corner Canyon's going to turn the ball over 4 times again. And that's going to have to happen, but we'll see. But I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a fun day on Thursday.
All right, let's kick the show off officially. Welcome to your Monday edition of JJ and Alex as we get you ready here. We got tons to get through. Let's start off with the University of Utah and the blowout, absolute drubbing of the Baylor Bears down in Waco. We knew it was going to be a mess of a place when they got down there, and it delivered. The Baylor Bears are an absolute mess. The only reason Dave Aranda's still got a job is because they still haven't fired the AD yet, I think. Let's kick things off here officially with the cut. Let's jump in right here.
It's time for the biggest story of the day. This is what made the cut with JJ and Alex on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Trajan Wealth brings you this portion of the show as well. Glad to have them on board. They can help you with all your retirement needs. Local trusted financial fiduciaries. All you have to do is go to TrajanWealth.com. That's TRAJAN Wealth.com, Trajan Wealth. All right, let's talk about it. Utah going down to Waco. I mean, if you went back and looked up all of our predictions, Annapolis, between Mitch and I on Football Friday, between all of us on Saturday, I don't think anybody had Utah in the 50s, but we were all kind of 40s to teens, 40s to 20s. I think I was like I was like, you know what? I think they're going to win this thing 38-17. And I think that was low compared to some of the other guesses too. I think Utah going down and beating up Baylor the way that they did was, number one, expected, which also adds to the level of difficulty because people go, dude, you should roll this Baylor team. And then they go down and they do it.
Yeah.
And Baylor, by the way, if you didn't see Sawyer Robertson, I mean, this dude's he's a dude. He throws the ball well.
Well, look at their offensive numbers against that defense.
470 yards of offense, right? They were not unstoppable because obviously it was the stops on defense that they had. It was the pick six.
Baylor had 563 yards of total offense against Utah.
Ooh.
430 in the air. And Utah won 55-28.
Plus, you got Baylor going in. Look, here's why Dave Aranda probably should have been fired this weekend, because it wasn't just that you got beat at home and you gave up 55 points and you guys weren't even in that thing ever. Then you've lost control of your guys and punches are thrown, right? That's like a clear we don't have control of our program type of a situation, right?
Yeah, he's in trouble.
But Mac Rhodes, the athletic director,
He's in trouble, too.
he's currently on leave, and so they're like, well, who's going to fire Aranda? Are you going to do it? Well, we got to figure out the AD thing first. So it's a mess of a place, but Bird Ficklin goes 6 rushes for 166 yards. You heard me right. 2 of those for a 74-yard run and a 67-yard run. So just with that, you had 141 yards on 2 carries.
Yeah.
Both of those were touchdowns. And the freshman phenom continues to excite. And that Utah running game, I know that everybody, this is exactly what we said was going to happen. They're not going to throw a ball a ton. They're not going to throw the ball a ton until somebody starts stopping the run.
They
and nobody can do it.
8 passes.
Hey. That was like, remember when they beat Colorado?
Still
had
had 2 touchdown passes. It was effective.
To Bentley and who else?
Wayshawn Parker.
Wayshawn Parker, that's
had
right.
A touchdown catch.
So look, this is a team that right now is rolling. I don't know what to think because as soon as it happens, as soon as Baylor starts struggling, as soon as they couldn't get anything going, as soon as they throw that pick 6 and you're like, oh, this thing's out of control already. I'm as impressed with Utah as I am looking at Baylor going, they are an absolute mess. And so, but this is exactly what you had to do. You've got to prove to the committee, which is what you're doing now the rest of the way. You've got to prove to the committee. You've got to make noise so that the powers that be can see you making those moments happen. It helps, I think, that you have a 5 o'clock kickoff, right? You get a primetime game. You're down there at Baylor. Everybody watches you put up 55 against the Utes. BYU, on the other hand, has to have these late games, and it doesn't help. You know what I mean? Like, it's not a help because half the projections that you read on the Sunday after of where the college football playoff rankings, they're like, half of them haven't even been updated. They're all, and Utah, right, or BYU is leading early against TCU in a late game, and you're like, oh, you guys couldn't even bother to rewrite the stuff before the next Sunday morning because that's what happens.
They went to bed.
So you have Utah having that game at 5 down in Waco mattered, and that team every week has just pushed people around harder and harder, and it really is hard to deny the fact that this team is one of the better teams in the entire West, and if not one of the best teams. Like on a hot streak and teams you don't want to face, put them on the list of teams that you don't want to face if you're anybody in the country right now.
They'll probably be number 12 in the college football playoff rankings Tuesday. We'll see. But that's elite. You're one of the best. You're being considered for the college football playoff. It's a shame that they don't have another top 25 matchup because it would be interesting to see where the team is right now, how much improvement they've shown, or how would Texas Tech fare against this offense now? The way it is being run. That's what I'd love to see. Now, I think they'd be fine because I have a lot of respect for Texas Tech, and that front is incredible. It's the best defensive front money can buy. But obviously, Utah didn't give them their best that first meeting. The odds are not in the Utes' favor to make the Big 12 championship game at this point. So we may not get to see that. I would just hate it for Utah to have to end up playing Houston in the Alamo Bowl. Which is
that actually a thing?
Well, the Pac-12 still has to fill their...
Oh, that's right. This is the last year of the Pac-12. So,
yes.
Oh, no.
Uh-huh. Right.
That is not ideal. That is not ideal.
Sorry, I just ruined a very positive and exciting conversation.
That's not what you want.
With bringing in the reality of what could happen here as this thing plays out.
Would there ever be a world where the Alamo Bowl could feature Utah and BYU, though?
Yes,
I mean, technically
100%.
with that same scenario,
absolutely.
And the Alamo Bowl is, let's not pretend, the Alamo Bowl is a better bowl game than the Las Vegas Bowl. Both teams would be extremely disappointed, obviously, having to have a rematch against one another in a bowl that is really only for the bragging rights situation. But for us here locally, if that's the consolation, and who owns the Alamo Bowl? Probably ESPN. They own most of the bowls.
100%.
So why not? I mean, I don't want to early give that thing away, but I mean, like that'd be kind of
because of the Pac-12 both situation still in play. That is 100% still a possibility. So
who else would be the option then in the Alamo Bowl for Utah? If it's not Houston, who else could it be? I mean, Houston in an Alamo Bowl feels a little bit fake.
Well, I mean,
either way,
a rematch with Cincinnati.
Yeah, these are.
I'm sorry. This is weird situation.
These are not things you want.
Arizona State. Well, no, Arizona State would not be an option. It would have to be a Pac-12 versus an old Big 12 team. I don't know. I think that's the most likely. That's why that scenario is played. Both Utah and Houston are 5-2 in conference right now, 8-2 overall, and those would be the top. So they take the next best Big 12 team that didn't make the college football playoff, and then the Pac-12 the way that works out would have to take a top one, and so it could work out in that scenario. Just throwing that out there. Or like there's a Pop-Tart scenario.
I don't
know.
Hey, write that down as a new thing that's ever been said on our show.
The Pac-12 has bowl obligations they have to fill.
There's a Pop-Tart scenario going on this weekend.
We're getting way ahead of ourselves right now because everybody just needs to love and enjoy the fact that BYU and Utah are right in the mix. And look, we all believe there's a conspiracy out there that ESPN and the College Football Playoff Committee want to keep the Big 12 down to one bid.
Sure.
And we'll see how that plays out. But the truth is, carnage can happen, and we saw it happen this weekend. You saw Alabama drop one. You saw Texas get blown out. Teams in front of Utah and BYU can and might lose. We're down to 2 weeks left, so the time is running out for that to happen. And Notre Dame's unlikely to lose at this point. I think they beat the toughest team they have left on their schedule, and toughest is pretty loosely used when we're talking about Pitt. So Notre Dame seems inevitable in the playoff.
That's tough. Hate those guys.
And we needed that to happen, but there's a lot of carnage that could take place in front. We saw what almost happened to Texas A&M. We saw what almost happened to Ole Miss. We'll see. Right now, though, if before the season, we told all of you that BYU and Utah would be 12 and 13 in the college football playoff rankings heading into the final 3 weeks, you would have taken it. And that's where we're at.
You'd have also not believed this because I need to remind people that I think the best that people had BYU on this thing was 7.5 to 8 wins. I think
what
Vegas
was the over-under in Vegas? It was lower than that.
It was like 7.5.
After the Retzlaff situation?
The Retzlaff deal, yeah. I think it was 8.5, then I think it may have gone down to 7.5. But either way, nobody had this coming. And even though Utah was talented enough, nobody looked and said, yeah, they'll probably be one of these massive turnaround stories, which is what they've become. They did exactly the thing that everybody was hoping that they would do, which was turn that thing around. I want to listen to some sound from Kyle Whittingham and some of these Utes as well. Let's start first with Devin Dampier, he's become at this point like the backfield manager of like the chaos that goes back on. By the way, Utah is so inventive when it comes to getting guys the ball. It's all running the ball, but it's pretty dang creative. Jason Beck has done a phenomenal job of mixing it up. Devin Dampier, Bird Ficklin, all these guys, they start getting going. Here's what Devin Dampier said about that game against Baylor. And starting off a touch slow, but can you really call it slow when you end up with 55 points?
A lot of that fell on me just earlier. Just got to convert third down, be smarter. But, my team got my back, so I love about my boys. We knew coming out of halftime, it's a whole new half. Let's step it up, and, man, when people are balling, keep giving them the ball.
I think there's an assumption, too, that now we all see that Devin Dampier is like the first guy there when Bird Ficklin runs the ball into the end zone. Like number 4
He's a great teammate.
Is right there with number 15. And here's what he said. Here's what Bird Ficklin said about Devin Dampier, the on-field relationship they have and how big of a deal it's been for him.
It can be nothing but fun. We talk about this, especially all the time in our hotel room. What we're going to do whenever we're both in and we score. It's just something that we both love, we both have fun with, and it's a really loving relationship between me and my best friend.
Boy, that got fun, didn't it? We better start playing You're My Best Friend now. Every time those guys get on here. I love having the back and forth with those two. Kyle Whittingham talked about the thing that everybody already knew, which is that Devin Dampier has not been 100% for, I think, a while. I don't know how long he goes back, but every game, I think some of the responsibilities get sort of shifted around to a lot of other bodies because Devin Dampier's not 100%, and it just is an easy thing to be able to say, hey, look, here's a way we can keep him healthy. We don't have him doing everything. Here's what he said about how banged up Devin Dampier's been.
Devin's a little bit beat up. There's no secret about that, but he's a competitor. He's a warrior. He goes out, unless he absolutely can't function at all, he's going to want to play. And he wasn't his normal self tonight, but good enough to go out and do some good things. With Bird, it's great to have Bird, in the bullpen in the event that we need him.
Banged up, obviously, that's not a secret anymore. We tried to keep it a secret. By the way, according to all of you now, he's fine now, all right? You don't need to know what the update is on him. That's on. He's like, for him to have to say that, it's not very fun, but at the same time, it's almost like not only is he not feeling well, we're still kicking the crap out of guys, which is pretty crazy.
Thank you, Coach, for admitting it, and because it's in the best interest of Devin, because then we can judge his performance accordingly. If we thought he was 100% healthy, right now we'd be having this, why is he starting, blah, 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 all this discussion, right? Why aren't they throwing the football, blah, blah, blah. Well, he's not 100%, so now we get it. I understand why they're doing what they're doing offensively with this and taking a lot of pressure off of him. Makes more sense. The way we judge a player's performance can be more accurate when we have more information.
If somebody is watching this Utah team right now, they should be the idea that they could sneak in as a 2-loss team into the college football playoff, it's such a hard thing to try to convince, because now getting into the Big 12 championship game is an outside shot. They still have the shot, but they have an outside shot. They need some help along the way. I don't know what the help is, actually, though. Do you have the flow chart up, Napolis? Where's your flow chart? It's not just BYU losing. What else do they have to have happen? They got to have a couple other things happen.
There's a couple teams like Arizona State in that tiebreaker. They also have to have them win out because it helps their strength of schedule.
Okay.
So just situations like that at this point. But really, it comes down to BYU Cincinnati.
Is Houston in the conversation still, some weird way? They're still in the conversation, right?
Yes.
Yeah, they're 5-2.
So they're a 2-loss team in the conference, and those two teams don't play each other. So I don't know what the head-to-head kind of comparison is with them.
I don't know what the tiebreaker scenario would be if BYU takes another L and everything stays the same. And no, they can't. It can't, because Cincinnati and BYU play.
So right.
But Arizona State is still 5-2, as well as Houston.
That's crazy.
So the potential of 4 teams having 2 losses is still in play.
I think that Arizona State staying still holding serve the last couple of weeks is probably as impressive as anything.
No doubt.
For those guys to be limping through the end of the season.
Kenny Dillingham can coach, man.
Oh, and then he has to deal with, on top of it, the rumors of the possibility that he could be going somewhere else.
They beat West Virginia 25-23 at home, and they had to score late to do it.
Hey,
but they did it.
That's an upstart West Virginia team that beat Houston the week before. All right?
Love that word, upstart.
Rich Rod's got those guys firing.
It's meaning, hey, we thought you sucked. Why are you playing well? That's what upstart means.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, Houston's last 2 games are home at TCU, at Baylor, which, you know what? Houston probably wins those 2 games, considering the current state of both TCU and Baylor.
Well,
Willie Fritz can coach, and that team's got a lot of confidence right now. So you could see.
I'll tell you, on top of all that, the team that I would hate to face right now is Arizona. Arizona is a team that rolled in and just and they've lost those 2 very close games, and that's the difference of them being a 1-loss team in conference play. An overtime loss to BYU, and then a 2-point loss against Iowa State, right? Something like that.
So it's the overtime loss to BYU, a 3-point loss at Houston.
At Houston.
They lost big at Iowa State 39-14.
Oh, that's
their only bad game of the year.
Yeah.
You're right. Arizona has been impressive. They beat Cincinnati at Cincinnati 30-24. That's a great win.
Yeah, it's man. And I'm telling you, Cincinnati, we watched a good chunk of that game here on College Football Saturday. We were watching and we're going, Arizona is making Brendan Sorsby make mistakes. It's like they basically smelled blood in the water, watched the Utah tape from the week before, and they were able to get him off. They were showing they were able to get him off of his platform of I don't throw very many interceptions, and they were showing the stats because he had thrown 1 interception out of 291 attempts, and then between the Utah game and the Arizona game, in 28 attempts he had thrown 4. So then you go, okay. 28 attempts, 4 interceptions. Before that, it was 1 interception on 290 attempts. So Sorsby's in a weird spot right now.
Yeah.
But BYU has no room for going down there and thinking that they're going to roll against this Cincinnati team, who right now is fighting for their college football playoff lives, sure, but really a berth into the conference championship game is still on the line. It's still just a 2-loss team in conference play.
If Cincinnati beats BYU, like I mentioned, you're going to have those
a mess.
5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 teams with 2 losses. It feels a lot like last year. The only exception is this year the conference has a bully in Texas Tech.
All right. We'll come back. More to go right around the corner. Stay with us. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Let's go! Complete game coverage of the Cougars is right here on the KSL Sports Zone. It's a huge Big 12 battle for the Cougars as they head to Cincinnati for a showdown against the Bearcats. Your home for the best coverage of Cougar football is right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. You're locked on to JJ and Alex on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Welcome back, everybody. Thanks for being a part of the program. JJ and Alex, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Hopefully you had an amazing sports weekend like we did. Annapolis, you won this round, brother. Your Rams. What were they wearing, by the way? What is that?
Midnight blue.
What's going on? What
They're
are we
black.
doing here? It was black, right?
Yeah,
no,
they're bad.
No,
black.
they're not black.
It was
It's
too,
a
right?
dark shade of blue. Midnight blue.
The reality is, whatever they were wearing, Sam Darnold threw right to him 4 times. Poor guy. Now, I will say this. Still 7-3, still wild card spot in the NFC. I can't see them getting worse over the rest of the year. The Rams, here's what's funny about Sam Darnold. He threw those 4 picks. He just kept throwing though. It wasn't like you were looking at him going, "Oh, he's in the tank here." So we'll get to that with our NFL Blitz later. We can talk some trash on that at some point. But yeah, that was our. I was really appreciative that I didn't get some BS poop talking text from you yesterday. So I appreciate that. Did you think about it? You were like this. You pick up the phone and then you went, "I'll let him have his Sunday."
I did for a little bit.
I was like this. If that thing buzzes, phone's next to me, and I'm like, if that thing buzzes and I have to see some bull crap from Alex Annapolis, this is going to be a bad Sunday.
Annapolis, in honor of him saying poop talking on the radio, just send a poop emoji every time the Seahawks lose.
Oh,
I'm going to do the same.
Gosh darn it.
For the rest of the season, and maybe forever.
I gave
poop talking?
It could be an alternative. I could have gone a different direction with this. We could have been bleeping stuff out already on a.
Well, he does have a dump button.
I know. Well, I don't want him to have to use it. Come on.
Poop talking.
Look, any way I can get through it. You knew what I was talking about, all right? Hey, but an awesome weekend of sports. Either way, and I even did the lesser of two evils thing and cheered for your Broncos there at the end of that game.
Oh, how great was that?
What was funny is Saturday, Rusty Keys was walking around the office. Of course, we can't even get
I haven't seen him in months.
We can't even have a nice Saturday. But he's wearing his full Chiefs stuff, and he comes in and he goes, blah, blah, blah. You're talking about Chiefs? And I was like, yeah. And then we start going, and then I was almost late to the start of the show, which is hard to do when you're already into the studio. Like I was here ready to roll. These guys are in here. I walk in, and Alex Annapolis and Christian Esparza were like, man, we were wondering, nice of you to show up. And it was like, and I think Christian goes, I saw you out there. I saw you got rustied out there, or you got rusty keyed, or something out there. I was like, I know. I was not wanting Chiefs talk right now on my college football Saturday. Thank you very much.
Yeah, gross. We never want Chiefs talk.
So the only Chiefs talk we're going to get today is a little bit later in the Blitz when I remind you what happened as they moved to a paltry 500 record. There's no way they've been at this. They've only been 500 at this time of year in the last 20 years, right?
20 years. It feels like it.
Yeah.
They've won 9 consecutive AFC West titles, and now that's in jeopardy.
He just walked by the studio.
Oh, did he?
He just walked by the studio. You guys, avert your eyes.
His ears are burning.
He definitely. Yeah, there might have been some. You know what? If I see him walk back by here, I'm going to make him rusty key you guys.
We're going to rusty key a segment here? Is that what we're going to do?
Hey, you guys got rusty. Well, no, because he's not going to want to talk about it.
You guys just got keyed.
That should be some new segment. You got keyed. Oh, my goodness. College football week 12 is in the books. Why could nobody finish off an upset this weekend? Why could nobody finish off a freaking upset this weekend?
Because it's hard to win in college football, I guess.
Pitt was nowhere close, so that was gone. You knew the Notre Dame, as soon as Jeremiah Love had that first touchdown that he hit that spin move on, and everybody was like, whoa, they were in the books. But we walked out of here doing College Football Saturday going, well, see you guys on Monday. We'll see what these college football playoff rankings look like with a blowout for Texas A&M, and they come back, of course, win that football game in wild fashion to come back from that. After a Texas State trooper gets involved, like with a couple of South Carolina players in the tunnel, we were like, what is going on right now? It was bonkers. Alabama can't get it done against Oklahoma. I was telling, and that's probably the thing that hurt the Big 12 the most over the weekend was you were waiting for Texas to lose that game against Georgia, which they did. You were waiting for Oklahoma to just go and do the thing, which was lose to an Alabama team at their place in Tuscaloosa, who'd been playing really good football after a slowish start, obviously losing to Florida State at the beginning of the year. But now you've got a team that's lost to Florida State. They lose at home to Oklahoma. But in every world and in every metric, a 2-loss Alabama team is always going to be above a 1-loss Big 12 team. Am I wrong?
No, you're not. We know we've seen this movie before, right?
They were almost there. They were almost there as a 3-loss team last year.
Exactly. And we've had people come on air saying they should have been in as a 3-loss team last year. I disagree with that, but that case is made because of how difficult of a schedule they play. They lost at home to Oklahoma, and they're not going to be punished the way that BYU was punished for losing on the road.
They got blown out by a bad Florida
Texas
State
Tech.
team.
BYU lost on the road at 10 a.m. in Texas Tech. Alabama lost at home to an Oklahoma team that is okay. I mean, they're good. Their losses are wait a minute, are they? They lost 23-6
to Texas.
Yep. At wherever the Red River rivalries played this year.
Dallas.
And they lost to Ole Miss. Okay. It's hard to judge these resumes nowadays, Alex, because these conferences are so big. They don't play every team in their conference.
No, they don't.
And Indiana's resume had that hole last year where they thought they had a tough schedule, but it turned out that Michigan and Washington and these other teams that were in the playoff the year before had great seasons had an off year because they lost a lot of players.
Yep.
You never know, but there's not enough of us because the schedules are so spread out with the teams that play in the conference not playing the best teams every year because the conferences are so vast. It's hard to get a feel for what their strength of schedule really is. So what metric do you look at? Well, I think you look at how big of a win you're getting as far as the point spread, right? Texas A&M having to come back at home against South Carolina, trailing 30-3 at home to South Carolina. They should be punished for that. You're going to hear about, what an incredible comeback. What an incredible team. You were down 30-3 at home to a team that's now 3-7.
Yeah, but I was kind of in that camp where I went, I can't believe they came back and won that game.
Yeah, but they did it against a team that's 3-7.
Dude.
There's a reason why South Carolina's 3-7.
Kind of impressive.
Yeah.
I'm telling you.
They should never have been in that place, in that situation in the first place. But they're not going to be punished for it. What if BYU trailed 30-3 to TCU on Saturday and rallied to win by 1 point?
Well,
what would the national people say?
Let me just tell you right now what Heather Dinich said about this team on ESPN, because their argument about – so she does her whole thing where she goes through and starts doing the here's why teams should be in, here's why teams should be out. And she's got BYU sitting at 11 behind Notre Dame, behind Alabama, behind basically those two lost teams that you look at and you go, hold on a minute. And obviously Oklahoma moved up in the rankings because they beat Alabama this weekend. It helps not just to not lose the games in November. It helps to also not lose the games in or to make sure that you win those games in November, because then we watch Oklahoma do its thing and then you go, wow, can you believe they beat Alabama at their place? And to do it on November 15th, just impressive. We never say that.
Why does the date matter?
It doesn't, but here we are because it does. You know what I'm saying? Like, the Alabama loss at Florida State, no one cares about anymore because they're like, yeah, but that was – listen, when you lost that game, when was that? Must have been a couple decades ago, back in September, when we lose by 2.5 touchdowns to an extremely bad Florida State team who rattled off 4 losses in a row after that. That's what you get. Man, but they won that game, and you know what's more impressive? They won it on November 20th. That is legitimately how people think on this committee, and it's so stupid. Heather Dinich rolls out and goes, yeah, that blowout loss to Texas Tech, though, has really stuck in the craw of the committee members who watched BYU just looked absolutely terrible against Texas Tech, and you're like, one of the best teams in the country at their place, number 7 versus number 8, and they lose that game. If 7 loses against 8 this weekend in the SEC, we saw what it does. All you do is stay in the top 10 in a different order. That's all you do.
Yeah.
But if you're BYU, you lose your first game of the year, and it's like, yeah, it might as well be over. And then she goes, and a blowout win over a 4-loss TCU team. And I was like, they're at 4 losses because one of them was to BYU. You can't call them a 4-loss team when that loss happened this weekend. Yeah, the 4-loss team you beat. They're 4 losses because we gave it to them. And by the way, it was by 31 points. If you're BYU, you should be absolutely pissed. That's what you're saying. And so then they go, yeah, and the thing about Utah is they lost to BYU, so they're just going to be right where BYU is. That's the logic. Just hang out by BYU, Utah, because that's as high as we're going to put you. You know why? Because BYU lost a game on November 4th. Remember that? Like, people, this is how they talk. And this is how ESPN wants to get a 5th SEC team in. They loved it this weekend because now they just have a cajillion 2-loss teams. And I don't know, what's the rest of Oklahoma's schedule look like? Because Texas is going to – I just take Texas out of the equation. Missouri and LSU.
Hey, LSU is going to play hard. And
which one's at home?
Missouri's at home. LSU's at home. They're both at home.
Oh, my gosh.
I know.
And LSU's like, please, Lane Kiffin, come to coach. Please, Lane Kiffin, you coach LSU. Florida wants him. LSU wants him. So when you're having that kind of talk, no one cares about the freaking game itself. And if you're hanging your hats on Missouri, gosh dang it, that's tough. But Texas has to play Texas A&M. Texas has to play Texas A&M last game. And, of course, Texas A&M is going to do the thing that the SEC does. They're going to lose a freaking game. And then Texas is going to get vaulted up as a 3-loss team because they just beat number 3 Texas A&M. Well, when did you do it? November 25th. Wow. Impressive. So you see where we're going here?
Yeah.
We're watching the car wreck happen in slow motion, and we have no ability to stop it. It's one of those terrible dreams where you're like reaching as slow as you can to try to stop something. Can't do it. Cannot do it.
And then you're left thinking, man, even in a 12-team playoff, they somehow managed to rig the system.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, see? All right.
Why? Because it just means more.
It means so much more down here.
To ESPN's bank account.
Now, you know what's funny? Is something that's not insignificant is BYU's game being put at 6 o'clock against Cincinnati. It's not a super late game. It's okay. It's an okay viewing window. That makes a difference.
It's 8 p.m. Eastern. It's all right. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. It's not the 10:30 Eastern game.
Exactly.
It makes a difference. So that's at least a little bit of an important thing there.
Big opportunity for BYU to get a good win.
All right. We'll take a break. We'll come back. By the way, Hans and Scotty are going to be down in Nephi. Check them out noon to 3 on Tuesday. That's tomorrow at The Grill, 2264 South Main Street in Nephi. Go check it out for yourself. Go check out some of these awesome beef, of course. Bar W hooking them up, and then you can reap the rewards at The Grill, the restaurant right there in Nephi. Join Hans and Scotty then. We'll come back. More to go right around the corner, 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.
Nobody gets you ready for Utah football more than the KSL Sports Zone.
Ready?
Kyle Whittingham and the Utes return home for a battle against Kansas State. Your home for the best coverage of Utah football is right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. You're locked on to JJ and Alex on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Welcome back, everybody. JJ and Alex, 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone. Alex, Kirry, Jeremiah, Jensen, thanks for being with us on the program. Weekend Warriors brought to you by the good folks at Gillette Heating and Air. Right now, get that seasonal maintenance done on that furnace. You're going to be firing it up a lot more in the next few weeks here and the next few months. So get it looked at. $59 for an expert at Gillette HVAC to come out and take a look. GilletteHVAC.com to make an appointment. Let me see here. Weekend Warriors, people who won the weekend here for us. How about the one that you guys had the call on, JJ? The Kenan Pula interception heard around the world and seen by everybody. Take a listen to what it sounded like up at Rice Eccles Stadium last weekend.
Oh, my goodness.
Wow! A one-handed interception.
Oh, that's a Utah Ute right there.
You won't see anything more spectacular than that in a high school football game.
Matt, Sam, send that into ESPN ASAP. Wow.
They did, and it was heard, and it was the number one play on SportsCenter that night. In fact, they interviewed the kid that night, and I'm watching it, and my son comes home, and we're watching, and I go, look at this. Look at what's going on SportsCenter right now. And all they're doing is showing it on a loop while they're talking to him. He's still got the eye black on, and, his phone is blowing up. He's having the biggest 15 minutes of fame that any kid in high school's ever had, but it says right there at the bottom of the screen, Lone Peak High School, Highland, Utah, Ken and Pula, Utah commit. And I'm like, these are all things you want when you're talking about a local kid and the type of impact you can have on a weekend. And guess what? A couple other plays from other states and their other state championships that are going on, not even close to what was put on that show on last Friday. Was it Friday? Yeah, it was Friday.
Yeah, Friday afternoon. Great exposure for the state. Great exposure for Kennan. He deserved it. That was incredible. Still can't believe I saw that.
Audio courtesy of Jeremiah Jensen and Sly. I love how Sly just goes, wow. And then he goes, Utah Ute right there. Number one thing he's got to yell out. That's Utah Ute right there. Not for long if everybody takes a look at that.
Yeah, I'm sure he got some
recruiting opens up a little bit.
some people reached out to him, I'm sure, over the weekend.
Hey, this is Coach Nick Saban. Just really love what you're doing down there. Have you talked to some of my friends over here in Tuscaloosa?
Got a bag sitting right here. There's something in this bag. If you want it, feel free to take it.
That might be literally $1 million catch is what's crazy. What's wild is that could be $1 million catch for a kid.
Well, it could be, and it should be.
That's awesome.
I've never seen anything like that.
Great poll. I loved it. And then finally, I didn't want to skip on this one because the Denver Broncos, like I said, lesser of two evils in the AFC West is what I'll call them. But they get the dub last night over the Kansas City Chiefs, and at the very end of the game, the last shot was on just a really sad Mr. Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce. I was disappointed to see how disappointed he was, but here's what it sounded like.
Snap placement, kick on the way, and it is good! They don't block this one like last year in Kansas City, and on the final play of the game, the Denver Broncos have beaten the Kansas City Chiefs by a final score of 22-19.
There you go. There's your win. We'll take the break. We'll come back. More to go. 97.5 KSL Sports Zone.